Alright, here we got AEM Tuner version 2.9. I'm going to check for updates real quick. Make sure there aren't some updates out there. If it'll work here, it doesn't look like it's wanting to check for updates. Alright, we're gonna press on. So here you got your different tabs out there. It says no updates available. You got your tuning, breakpoints. This just controls basically the RPM versus engine speed. Your TPS to load, TPS breakpoints, VSS breakpoints, all your different breakpoints. You can adjust them however you want. Your limiters, all your speed limiters, ignition limiters. Here's your start. You're going to be using this one a lot. This is very important. Idle. It's also very important to make the car run right. Fuel map, obviously, you're going to be dealing with this quite a bit. Here's the boost section right here. You can see everything that's a positive number is boost, and from 0 on down is all vacuum. So if you're NA, you're just going to be dealing with this part of the map here. If you're boosted, you're going to be dealing with everything. Now, once again, if you are boosted, there's a trim called this boost fuel trim here, and what it does is for every 14.7 inches, 14.7 psi. Let's see if I can find it here. 16, about 14. Okay. It's known that you can add about 100% fuel. So here you can see 14.1, and I'm adding about 100% fuel. So that way, go back to the fuel map. I don't have a massive spike right in here. It keeps it relatively smooth. Granted, I still had to add a little bit, but it keeps it relatively smooth in relation to the vacuum cells. So you don't have to. You can almost use the vacuum curvature for the boost. Just kind of makes it a little bit easier. So you got a bunch of different trims here. Like I said, boost fuel trim, gear fuel trim, your air temp fuel. This is a fairly important one because obviously as temperatures increase and decrease, cold air is more dense, warm air is less dense. You're going to need to adjust that. There's a formula out there. You can look it up. It's somewhere on the AEM forum. And then this is also a very important one, this warm-up enrichment. This is just temperature, coolant temp versus percentage of fuel you're going to add. So say it's, I don't know, 20 below, so you live up north, it's 20 below. Here it's adding 16% fuel when it's 20 degrees below in Celsius. So you can just adjust however. Normally what I do is I set the main fuel map to where it runs great when it's warm, and then let it fully cool down, start up in the morning. And then if it's super lean, don't adjust your fuel map. You'll want to adjust your warm-up enrichment, because then you already know your fuel map's good for warm. So once it warms up, it'll be good to adjust your warm-up enrichment to compensate for that lean condition. Here's your Excel fuel. This is took me quite a while to read up on it and learn and figure out. So just do the same yourself. Very useful if you're having problems with Excel problems. And then this is a very important one, obviously, your ignition map. You can rotate it 3D. I usually kind of like to have it about like that, so I can see my curve in vacuum, and then I can kind of see how it is in boost. If you look here, you can see it's very straight. Everything's very smooth, so it runs great. Once again, here is that's wide open throttle for NA. Obviously, this is all boost. Let's see, ignition trims. Here's an air temp ignition trim here. I've got it set on his particular car, and right now it's reading Celsius. I need to change it back to Fahrenheit because I don't like Celsius. But if it gets extremely warm, so we're looking at 120, 140, around 150 degrees intake temp, automatically pull 30 degrees just for safety, because once it starts getting that hot, I don't like having being that close to MBT with that hot of a intake temp, so I pulled 30 degrees. You can adjust accordingly. Boost, here's just your wastegate duty cycle. It's however you want to adjust it. You can do it boost by VSS, your boost target comp, and your boost air duty. Let's see what else we got over here. Oh, and one thing I didn't touch on is the channels. All the channels over here. These are basically what's going to go into the log. So if it's over here in this list here, it's going to go in the log. So you can add channels. Let's see here, add, and then you can search for whatever you're looking for. Say you want to know what A-tooth is. Double click it. Bam, there it is right there. In the advanced boost, you got just a bunch more options. And once again, this template will depend upon how you have it set up. This actually isn't the one that I had set up. I accidentally deleted it, so I have to start over. Sensors, here's the calibration for all your sensors, your map, you can adjust the volts, your TPS, air temp, coolant, obviously you got your O2. You'll find yourself probably adjusting some of these O2 values to make it work right. Then here are the channels for all of the channel for the map, channel for TPS, channel for air temp, and so on. And then here's these normally, if you have a base map set up from AEM, they normally adjust the voltage, so you don't need to adjust that unless you have a different kind of sensor. And then coils and injectors. This just has to do with coil phasing. Here you can see coil 1, coil 2, coil 3, and coil 4 are on. And you have coil phasing 0, 18, 6, and 12. So that is the, in other words, let's see, cylinder number 1 fires first, and cylinder number 3 fires, and then cylinder number 4, and then cylinder number 2. So it's 1, 3, 4, 4, 2 is the firing order. So you see that 0, 6, 12, 18, and it just keeps going around in a circle. And then here, if you have EGTs, you want to monitor EGTs, EGT 1, 2, 3, and 4. You just turn them on, knock sensor. Here they are here. Here's your knock sensor. And there's a bunch more tabs you can add. Right click, new tab. But that's pretty much the gist of it. And you can add channel display. Say you want to add that, whatever. Okay, there's channels. That's just to monitor. So you'd be option display. This actually gives you something you can adjust. Now those are actual values you can adjust. So that's the difference between channels and options. 2D table. Obviously, just pretty self-explanatory. It's 2D. It's just a graph, and you can adjust these either down here. You can type in the number, or you can come up here and hit plus or minus. Hitting the plus key, minus key, and so on and so forth. So those are 2D. And then 3D, you can uncheck hide displayed if you want to duplicate them. You can do, whatever. You come over to the tree and get the full list. Pick out whatever you want, and then bam, here you got your 3D stuff here. So, but I don't like it getting all clogged up like that, so I'm going to erase these. And then, see, you've also got, get all of them. A dashboard, I don't ever use it. And you can say you have a bunch of displays, and see how this space over here isn't taken up. Right click and go auto arrange displays, it'll automatically fit them in. It's kind of like just organized in your desktop, basically. I like to have it organized, it just looks better. It's up to you. And I don't need this, I'm going to delete this. So yeah, this is an overview of AEM Tuner. Mainly to set stuff up. Let's see here, we'll start. Open a calibration, come over here, open recent, you can pick a recent one. Save workspace, that's just how this whole template is set up. Edit, that's just basically your regular Control-Z, Control-C, copy, paste. Display, you're not going to really use much in here, except for maybe outer range by usually right click. Tabs, here are all the tabs. Here's the ones that are shown. Here are the hidden ones. So it's just whichever ones you want. There's a lot more than the ones I went over, but those are the main ones. ECU, that's how you're going to connect, upload a calibration, clear it, upload EMS firmware, clear EMS firmware, ECU connection preference here, whether you're using USB 2.0 or a serial. Then you have to specify your COM port. So if you're using a serial adapter, then you're going to use this one obviously, and if you're using the new Series 2, you're going to use USB. Logging, this is just basically start and stop logging. If you're connected, you'll be able to hit it. Now it's grayed out because obviously we're not connected to the ECU, but if you are, and you can also use the hotkeys F6, F8, and F7. Tools, this is where you're going to be able to adjust most of your stuff, preferences, your unit. Here I said I didn't like the Celsius, so I'm going to change it back to Fahrenheit. And I like load units PSI, so that's good. You can just adjust different things. Different colors, hotkeys for everything, logging. Let's see what else. Quick tune. I actually haven't tried this yet. It's supposed to work pretty good, but I don't know. I just like tuning it myself. And then I have no idea what this application tab is for. Wizards. Get your setup wizard. Let's say if you're creating a new map, or say you changed injectors, your primary injectors. Say you went from, for example, we went from ID 2000s to ID 1000s, and we were running the 43 PSI ones. So you just select the ID 1000s, hit apply, and it'll change the battery offset values and the basically all the injector dynamics. That's pretty much it. Wizards. Set throttle wizard. This just adjusts the voltage of the TPS. You can do that manually over here under sensors, like I was showing you. TPS volts. That's all that is just adjusting those two. Wizard ignition timing sync wizard. All this is doing is just adjusting the I forget what it's called. Anyways, it's just basically syncing up the timing. And I have a thread on that on one of the forums. And then change injector flow. You shouldn't need to worry about that. Shouldn't need to worry about that. Live tracing, if you like it. Say you're on the fuel map. And that's actually comes in handy. What it'll do is once you're connected to ECU, you'll have this little pointer thing that will follow wherever you're at on the map, depending upon load and RPM. It'll follow it around. Say you want to see where you've been in your history. It basically just gives you a little a track of where you've been at on the map. So that comes in pretty handy. I like that feature. And then over here, pretty much the only one you're going to use here is if you read the tuning guide, great. If not, check for updates. I like to keep it updated because they do a good job of keeping it up to date. So that's pretty much a short overview of AEM Tuner and how it works.